So we got another one for you guys. This one, whew, I don't know how we did this one.
It's a gem, and it doesn't get more New York than this. So,
you know what? Let's just start.
Just start it.
Let's get into it.
I actually discovered him on IG, just ripping records apart and just chopping shit up like you wouldn't believe. He's a scratch master. Although he's a vet to the DJ game, he's new to a lot of people around the country and the world. But this dude, DJ Ace, the Cut Lieutenant, definitely gets busy on the 1 and 2s. I just want you to enjoy it, man. It's my man, DJ Ace, Cut Lieutenant. He getting it in. Rock the bells.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour, the man of the hour. May I present? May I introduce? May I introduce? DJ Beast, DJ Beast, DJ Beast.
Yeah, we just wanted to start off on like one of the most basic questions we get. Like, what started you on your journey as a scratch DJ?
Well, I was about 10 years old, and it's two things actually. The song Roxanne, Roxanne by UTFO and the movie Beat Street. Those two pieces just got me totally into the music and totally into the idea of being a scratch DJ.
So you said you had began DJing at the age of 10.
Yes.
So how did that come about? Because it's not like a regular occurrence that a 10-year-old just knows how to start doing that. So how did that happen?
So my mom had a compact stereo, and anybody who knows anything about compact stereo knows that the turntable is on the very top of it, and she had it on the top of a shelf. So I would stand on my toes and try to manipulate the records to imitate the hip hop DJs that I heard. And I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And all of a sudden, I actually did something just like on the record. And that excitement, I can still feel it now to this day. That excitement that I got, you know, it was incredible. The feeling was incredible.
Do you remember the first place you were when you heard it? Like when you heard him for the first time?
Yes, I was in my room. I was in my room in Brooklyn on Herkimer Street.
Do you think being born and raised in Brooklyn has influenced you in what you do?
Yes, big time.
How so?
Growing up, you know, they had everybody had a boom box. And you know, you wake up and all you hear is just music, hip hop. And I specifically remember hearing the song Roxanne, Roxanne, and I wanted to know, what is that? And this was the first time that I actually called in the radio station to get a request. And it just, you know, as soon as I heard the song, I knew I wanted to get into music. And the DJ, his name is DJ Mixmaster Ice. And what he was doing on those turntables was just absolutely incredible. And I knew I wanted to do that.
One of the things that I've noticed that I think is really awesome is how you love to give back to your community. How did you bridge what you do with the NYPD to bring everybody together? Like, you do that constantly, which is so awesome. And the beautiful thing about it is that when you're showing the children how to scratch, I mean, I've seen so much footage that they look at you in awe. Like, how does that feel for you? And how did that all begin where, you know, you guys started doing that?
It's just a great feeling all around. So one day, an officer from the Community Affairs Unit reached out to me. They knew I DJ'd, and they asked me to DJ at a function. And the function, I think, was near a mall. So I bring all my equipment out, and I'm your traditional DJ with a controller. I have 2 turntables, a mixer, speaker, so it's a lot of equipment. So immediately everybody's wondering what's going on. You know, a lot of people looking at the police, skeptical, like, what are these guys doing? But the minute I played some hip hop music, just any kind of tension was just gone. And people just couldn't wait to come up to me, to talk to me, to ask me all kind of questions. And, you know, it just was a great feeling. And that's when I realized, you know, this music is a good way to bridge the gap.
It's a great icebreaker. It's a good way to connect.
Icebreaker.
Absolutely.
People, you know, look at police officers being kind of robotic. And, you know, that's all we do is police the city. But it kind of humanizes being a police officer. It makes you,
yeah, it's the absolute
like a person,
opposite of
right?
what they would think.
Exactly.
For sure.
Why do you think that is, though? Because you're a lieutenant, it's your job, but you're a human, you would have other hobbies. But why do you think it really does shock people?
Maybe because of movies and, you know, people's notions, their ideas that they have, you know, in their head about police officers. And this just totally gets rid of all their ideas that they had. And once they I'm a very personable person as it is. So once they start talking to me, they realize, oh, you know what, this guy, all right, he's a police officer, but he's regular. I could get with this guy. I could talk to him.
And that's, I'm sure, has been invaluable. Like,
Yes.
as your career as a cop, like,
Yes,
that's
makes my life so much
absolutely
easier. You know?
You come in with a understanding of people already feel comfortable, kind of, in a way.
Exactly.
That's
And you
awesome.
know what? And as much as people don't want to admit it, who wouldn't want to have a friend that's a police officer? Everybody wants a friend that's a police officer, because there's so many things people don't know. They want to hear it from the horse's mouth, exactly what they shouldn't do, what they should know, and it could help them out.
When you're doing the work that you do proactively in your community, what do you want the children to take away when they watch you?
I
Do your thing.
want the children especially to be comfortable around police officers. A lot of parents, and they don't really mean anything by it, but it does affect the kids. They see a police officer and say, you better act right or he's going to take you away. And it kind of puts a stigma in kids' minds. I don't want anything to do with this cop. But cops can help you, right? And you shouldn't be afraid to say hello or to ask for assistance or ask for help. And it starts when kids are young.
And what would you give advice would you give to a kid who wants to DJ? Like, what kind of advice?
I would say just jump right into it fully. Whatever your heart tells you to do it. Find someone that could teach you the right way. And also, it keeps you out of trouble. It definitely kept me out of trouble. I had no time to do anything but to do that, but to mess with my equipment. And back then, no digital. You had to actually buy records. And, it's very time consuming, finding what to buy, And then when you get home, you got to get to the best part and then practice. It's just super time consuming. So I would definitely recommend it to kids to have an interest into DJing, to jump right into it fully and learn as much about it as they can and practice as much as they can and get to the level where they want to be.
You mentioned at one point that you were a Marine.
Yes.
Did anybody in your battalion know that you knew how to DJ?
So once after basic training was over and I'm living in the barracks, it's almost like a regular job. So I'm from New York City. This guy happened to be from Florida. This person is from Minnesota. And this person raps. I DJ. So eventually I had like a little crew in the Marines. And we actually made demo tapes and stuff like this.
Did you have a name? What was the name?
I had the same name, DJ Ace. The group's name was The Ruffians. And we got that from a martial arts flick. I had a martial arts movie, and on the cover, that was one of the descriptive words for the people in the movie, The Ruffians. So we kind of took that over.
That's awesome. And it must have kept you guys motivated as you were going through like basic and all that stuff.
Yes,
and
yes. Well, this was after basic training. And, on the weekends, we would go make demo tapes. And we actually performed at a couple of bars. It was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
It's pretty cool. And it kept me sharp also on the turntables. I still practice, and I never stopped that. Even though I was in the Marines, I never stopped practicing my art.
I'm sure you practice every day now because
Yes,
you do
now
all
I
the time.
practice every day. I have a long commute going to work, and I just play nonstop music, and it just gives me different ideas to do when I get home for different routines and different things to do.
And where do you go for like inspiration? Like, I know, surrounded by horror movies and that kind of stuff, it's like movies a big place where you get a lot of your inspiration?
Yes, absolutely. Thank God for Shazam, because I watch a movie and I'm like, what is that song? And I got to Shazam it, and it just gives me a whole nother idea. And the way things are now with digital music, it's very easy to get certain types, especially break records, or we call them break records, the old records from back in the day, from the 60s, 70s, that has like a little part of the record that has a break beat that you could sample.
That's what the break,
the loop.
Right,
Yeah.
the loop. So yeah, I get inspiration from movies, from everywhere. From everywhere.
But you tend to favor the old school.
Yes.
Is there anything new school that has made you like perked up a little bit? Say, hey, there might be something there that I
To
can.
be honest with you, I don't even give it a chance.
But this is interesting. This is interesting, and I think it's something that should be spoken about. I think when you encounter the individuals that, like us, we were raised in the 90s. We were there when the music video was the thing, the video girl was the thing. You waited to see what hype Williams was going to do.
Right.
You just waited, and it was always this anticipation. I'm not saying that doesn't exist now, but I feel at times there's a little bit of like a struggle with trying to understand what hip hop is right now as opposed to what it was before. What about hip hop back then do you miss that you wish would come back?
To sum it up in one word, the diversity. It was something different, something new every week, you know. Whether you like it or not, it was something different, and they leave it up to you to make your choice. You know, it'd be a different type of beat. It'd be a different type of rap. It'd be a different style of rap. It would be just different.
Yeah.
The DJ would do something different. All right, instead of scratching on a break, you're scratching this part, or scratch a cartoon record, or scratch dialogue from a speech. It was just something new and something different. The folks nowadays, the young kids, I take my hats off to them. They're making a lot of money. But as far as diversity, I want to see more creativity and more diversity.
And more storytelling.
More storytelling.
It's definitely not enough. And that's one of the things that you do beautifully. You take songs and you paint a picture, which I think is
You can literally see it.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Thank you, thank you.
Before you became a lieutenant, did you ever think about pursuing the music industry at some point?
Yes, my whole teenage life. I had a rap group. We were called the Stage Kings. I was the DJ, and I had two MCs. And Kings, the idea of Kings was big back in the day because of Run DMC. They were the Kings of Rock. So that's where we kind of got the name. And we actually went to a studio called Funky Slice Studios downtown Brooklyn, and we made tons and tons of demo tapes. We shopped them around to different record companies. And I never forget, we actually got a response from First Priority Records. First Priority Records is Milk D's, his dad's company. Okay. And they sent us a response. We were so excited. They declined us, but at least we got a response, and we were just so excited. So I definitely had an idea to pursue music in my younger years.
Were you DJ Cut Lieutenant at that time, or were you
No.
just...
So my name has always been DJ Ace since
DJ.
I was 10 years old.
Okay,
DJ
okay.
Ace. A friend of mine is DJ Diamond, the artist. He is EPMD's tour DJ right now. He is the man, I have to give him credit, who came up with the idea of Cut Lieutenant.
Nice, he's the man.
He's the man.
Who gave you the name?
He gave me the name.
Nice. When you think of hip hop culture and its impact worldwide, what about hip hop stands out to you?
The culture itself, the way hip hop artists talk, the way hip hop artists dress is just a big influence, not just here in this country, but worldwide. It's probably more so in other countries. Seems like other countries actually appreciate the hip hop culture a little more than we do over here. And it just, you know, people thought it was a quick fad, it was going to be in and out. But to this day, it's just a powerhouse in the music industry.
I've noticed, everybody knows this as well, that when you DJ, you use a lot of 90s hip hop. What about 90s hip hop stands out to you?
Just the pure energy and diversity of 90s hip hop. Every week, I never forget, it was just a different artist coming out, something different, a different sample. I was big on the originals. I'm still big on the original samples. And it was just exciting to hear the way somebody would use an old song from the 60s. Yeah. You know, just pure energy and excitement. One song would be about a story, you know, a different story on the train in the Bronx, something like that. The next rap would be a braggadocious type of rap, talking about their clothing. It's just very diverse and full of energy. It gets me real hyped.
You're now known, I could really say worldwide, by DJ Ace. Does your popularity that you're experiencing right now, does it ever shock you?
It shocks me all the time to this day, including my wife. We'll be somewhere. We were actually all the way in Jamaica, and she noticed a gentleman staring at me. And, you know, I didn't think too much about it. Next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, you're DJ Ace, right?" So she is like, "Oh my God, are you kidding? We're all the way in Jamaica."
How does your family feel about the popularity that you have, and
They're very proud.
Yeah.
Very proud. My big brother, he pretty much raised me after my dad passed, and he's just very proud. He's proud that I'm a lieutenant in the NYPD. He was a lieutenant as well.
Awesome.
But then the DJ aspect is just a whole nother thing that he never even dreamed of. He brought me my very first turntable after I graduated high school.
And he's like, does he take credit for who you are now because he brought you?
No, he doesn't. And my wife, she just loves. She brags about me all the time. She loves it.
We brag about you.
So I can imagine.
I know exactly. I can
Mrs.
imagine
Cut
being your
does.
family, Mrs. Cut Lieutenant. Exactly. It's clear that you love the boom bap. So what about it attracts you the most?
So when Mobb Deep, MOP, Wu-Tang Clan, when these guys came out, I was in the Marine Corps and I was away. And I was very proud to be from New York when this music came out. I was just very proud. People could tell I was always from New York from the way I dress. And that just, when I hear the boom bap music, it just brings me back to that period, to that time. It makes me proud to be from New York City.
What's that one record that you can play that like brings you back to that moment?
One song that, you put this song on, it just gets me hype. I play it all the time when I'm in the car. Annie Up by
Of
MOP.
course.
That song just gets me hyped.
matter what.
Yeah.
I can't forget Mobb Deep, Shook Ones, Survival of the
Classic.
Fittest. Those are some of my all-time favorites.
What are your favorite records to utilize in your sets and why? What are your top ones?
Jingling Me Baby by LL Cool J. That just gets the party going. I love that record. Anything by Chubb Rock, Slick Rick. Those are my like 3 top party starters.
The other thing that I know that you're known for is your ad-libs. How do you go about cultivating the selection to utilize that? Because it looks very complicated.
Right.
So explain, just elaborate on how your process is.
That's one thing that stuck out to me when I heard a song. I call it a scratch hook. It's one thing to have a sound and to make a scratch, but then the DJs that would make a scratch hook, that would stand out to me, and that's what I love. The DJ premier type of DJs that would have different ad-libs and different samples. So that's kind of what I model my music around. And the one thing that makes me unique, I use something called the dicer. So basically a cue point, and the DJs will know what I'm talking about. On the mixes, they have different buttons and you could set cue points for different parts of the record. But it takes a little while to get to those buttons. For me, I have a device called the dicer that's right on the edge of my turntable, and I'm able to touch it with my thumb and activate that different sample and make my own scratch hook, immediately right on the spot. DJ Premier and the other DJs, they would actually have to lay down one scratch, record it, rewind, and have it on a separate track. So it'd take a little while to do it, but I could actually do it on the fly, immediately live.
That's awesome. And nothing mentions that like you never use headphones and stuff
Very
like that.
rarely.
Which-
So the cue points helps it out. Once you set up your cue points, you kind of know with the touch of this button, it'll be right here, the part that I want.
One of the things that I noticed when you scratch, and you can tell when you're watching whomever that is a scratch DJ, you have a niche about yours, and they're very like curt and very clean and very clear. Does being a lieutenant, being from the military at one point in your life, maybe influence that a bit?
So
The diligence that it takes to get that down?
more so than the military and being a Marine, I would say me being a Virgo, probably. 'Cause I'm very meticulous.
Perfectionist, yeah.
I'm a perfectionist. I want things my way, and I won't stop until I get it just right.
He's a Virgo.
Okay.
We know.
Yes.
I'm very familiar.
But we get it done, right?
We get it
Absolutely.
done.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people say, man, do you ever make mistakes? So the 30-second video that people see, they don't realize it took me about an hour, maybe 2 hours, a lot of mistakes to get that 30 seconds just right and get it perfect.
Because you have high standards for yourself
Right,
when it comes
exactly.
to that. But that's why people hear you and it's just so crisp and
the
clean.
agility,
so it's
for
just,
sure.
It's ridiculous. Anybody that I've said, hey, listen to this, they're like, yo, who's that? And it's just,
Yeah, there hasn't been anybody that I've shown what you do that doesn't lose their mind.
Wow.
I mean, I know the first time that I heard you, it was because of my boy B. And he was like, you gotta watch this guy. You would love it because you're so into the old stuff. And I watched it and I was like, man, this is so awesome. Because it's not that you don't hear it anymore, but when it's done the way that you do it, it's done so well. And that's what hip hop is about. The agility, the talent that you have behind, trying to figure out how to keep the party going, number one, but how are you going to transition? It is a skill, and you demonstrate that as an ace. It's literally perfect. It's beautiful when you do it.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
If you had to choose, this is going to be hard. Mos Def, Biggie, Nas, or Jay-Z? Who are you going with?
I would say, people are going to kill me for this one. I say Nas. Just besides his skill, his lyrical skill, just his overall demeanor. I just like everything, his style, and I like how he gives back, and I just like everything about him. That first album, I could listen from start to finish at any given moment. I just love it. Puts me in a great mood.
Yeah,
he's a great storyteller
too.
Great storyteller. I just love him.
Nice.
When you piece together a set, are you picturing the story you're trying to tell? Are you already envisioning your mood?
So sometimes, I'm big on the hip hop acapellas. That's where I get a lot of my sounds from. Sometimes I'll get one snippet from 4 different songs and put it all together and make it sound like it's telling you a story, And that's what I like. Sometimes it happens to be on the same record every now and then. But I just get an idea. I'm driving in the car and I'm like, you know what? I got to find that acapella. And then I write it down, and that'll be just one snippet. And then maybe 2 days, 3 days will go by. I hear another song. I'm like, oh, you know what? I need that snippet. And then maybe like a week or 2 weeks down the road, I'll have that one routine together, and it'll fall into place.
The notes on your phone must be ridiculous.
It's crazy.
It must just be full of
It's just full of notes, and it's just sometimes I'm multitasking, so I have to create a whole new page, and then I got to go back to the other page, and what did I write here?
You should do voice notes.
I should do voice notes.
So when you're driving,
Right.
you do voice notes.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
I noticed in one of your photos that you sent us, which the amount of footage that you sent us is incredible. There was a photo of you when you were a teenager. And it's you at the turntables. You're definitely in the moment, but your walls were covered with all the hip hop heroes.
Yes.
Who would you say is the one that's impacted you the most? Because I know that it's hard because there's so many. But who are the few, or maybe who's the top one that's been the one that...
So when I was a kid, my favorite artist was LL Cool J. I went to see him at the Apollo Theater. And I'll never forget, I'm a big DJ guy. His DJ Cut Creator and Bobcat, got the crowd hype. And they did like a little quick flash of the light, and he's on his radio like this, and he just went, I'll never forget that. I think I was like 12 years old, and to this day, I'll never forget. And fast forward years down the road, I had the opportunity to meet him. And he reached out to me on Instagram. He saw one of my videos of me scratching Rock the Bells. I was scratching over Another One Bites the Dust, and he loved it. He reposted on his page. He reached out to me and asked me for my number. And I gave it to him, but I didn't hear anything from him. Then one day I actually met him at the Barclays Arena. And I said, hey, how you doing? He said, I know who you are, Ace. Yo, we're gonna do something together, watch. So I just thought he was being nice, but he actually called me and asked me to do some mixes for his radio station. And I've been doing mixes ever since.
What was going through your mind? Because I would have died. I would have had a heart attack.
I couldn't believe it. And then this is a personal story here. I'm at the precinct and I had to use the bathroom. So I'm using the bathroom. Then all of a sudden I get a call, and it's not locked in my phone. It's a 917 number. So I'm like, who's this? I said, hello? He said, yo, Ace. So I'm like, yes, this is LL, just like that. So I'm like, what? Now I'm using the bathroom and I'm like, what? So now I gotta play it cool, and I'm a Virgo, so inside I'm exploding. But on the outside I gotta play it cool. I say, hey, how you doing, man? How you doing, L? Great to hear from you, man. And the conversation went from there. He was very humble, very regular, and it was just a great feeling. And then at the end of the conversation, he said, all right, lock my number in. So I was like, man, this is unreal. I got LL Cool J's number in my phone.
Yo, this Primo mix is so crazy. DJ Ace Boy, you doing your thing.
That's comforting that he is a cool guy.
Very nice guy.
Sometimes, I'm sure when you meet all your heroes, sometimes you're hoping.
That's a good point.
That they're not going to disappoint you in some way.
Working at the arena, I get a chance to meet a lot of people, a lot of music, people in the music industry, a lot of actors, and I always pray that the people that I like are very nice and humble, because it would be very disappointing to meet somebody that was not so nice. It would just take away from everything else, you know. But when I tell you, he is just a nice man, just a great man.
I've always heard that about him. So
every time I see him, I just say thank you, and he says, "Come on, man, you already know, baby. You already know."
So in the same vein of, you know, your hip hop heroes, you've been very fortunate to not only meet them, become friends with them. How does it make you feel when they compliment what you do?
It's unreal. First of all, I can't believe they even know who I am. That's just a good feeling in itself. And then the actual DJs that I grew up, that I consider, you know, my idols, you know, Qbert, DJ Scratch, Jazzy Jeff, and these guys give me compliments. It's just like unreal.
You don't believe it.
I don't believe it. I'm like, man.
Like, I'm gonna wake up.
Right.
And then it's gonna be me going to work, listening to music, and not talking to people.
Right. You know, I've only been, you know, in the spotlight for about 6 years. And within that 6-year time frame, I've done things that DJs can only dream of. So if I don't do anything else from this point on, I'm happy, man.
When did you know throughout your whole process that there was something special about what you were doing and that it could become something?
I kind of stopped thinking about it after I got into the Marines. We used to go hard with our demo tape, shopping it around. Then it got to a point where we realized, you know, we're not gonna go anywhere. So I kind of put it on the back burner and I started working, and I haven't really thought about it since. A friend of mine brought me to a DJ competition, and it kind of got me back into the mode. And ever since then, I still practice and I updated my equipment, but I didn't think about getting into the limelight or pursuing a music career or anything like that at all until 6 years ago. In that video.
So essentially, it may not have happened when you were younger, but it happened at the perfect time.
Right, it really did.
Now you have the maturity, right,
to
on how to deal with it. Right.
I wouldn't have been able to deal with any kind of fame or anything back then. I'm glad.
Isn't it crazy how that works out? Like, things happen for a reason. Like, if you would have gotten to work, because the talent, that's you, whether then or now, to have it here now, to be able to use it the way that you do.
It definitely wasn't for me back then. Now I appreciate everything. I could drink it in, and plus I don't have to stress about it. I don't stress about anything DJ related. I just take it as it comes in baby steps. And if I advance, it's a great thing, which has been doing. But if it doesn't, it really is not the end of the world for me at this point.
You still have the love there. It hasn't turned into a job.
Right.
Which is great.
Right. I love doing what I do, and I do it regardless whether I'm getting any kind of notoriety or any kind of money or anything like that.
So DJing until the day you die.
Exactly.
The day until you're old and
exactly.
What would you say is like the top gadgets for DJing right now that you'd love to mess around with?
For me, I'm still old school, so I don't really mess with too many gadgets. The only gadget that I would say is that what I was telling you about, the dicer, that instrument I keep on the side of the turntable. Other than that, I have regular Technique 1200 turntables. I have there's a new mixer every time you turn around, but I still have the Rain 62 and the Pioneer S9, and it holds me down good. They're great when I do parties, great when I do my routines. And it's great when I do scratches. And that's another thing I didn't mention. A lot of folks are starting to reach out to me to put scratches on their records.
Awesome. Wow.
And so I've put scratches on a few people's records, and a couple of celebrity folks. I was on a record with Kid Capri, Mr. Sinister, and the Executioners, which in the DJ world, those guys are like gods. So just to even touch that record is just like a dream.
Shoulder to shoulder with them.
Right, it's a dream come true.
Speaking of scratching, when you were featured on Phellix, his series. What did that do for you?
You see it, Phellix hanging out with my man DJ Ace. You see him, the cut lieutenant, he's not playing. You see what it is.
So I owe that man everything because it just launched me into the DJ world overnight. Working at the Barclays Center, I met Phellix, and normally my routine when I see a celebrity, I'm at work, I'm in uniform, I'm very sharp, very military. If we happen to lock eyes, I'll give them the head nod. And if they want to do a little more, that's even better. But if they keep it moving, we don't lock eyes, then I won't say one word, I won't bother them. But Phellix, we locked eyes, and I gave him the head nod, and he came right to me. He didn't know me. This is before everything. So he came right to me, and I said hello, and I said hello, and I told him I'm a big fan, and at the end of the conversation, I told him that I DJ'd, and I gave him my business card. At the end of the night, he texted me his number and said, lock me in. Months later, he reached out to me, yo bro, is this you? And he sent me the video. So I said, yeah, that's me. I told you I DJ'd. He said, nah bro, you didn't tell me you were a scratch DJ. I gotta have you on 5 Minutes of Funk. So I said, yeah, definitely, I would love to be there. And I haven't talked to him since. Then I saw him again and I mentioned it. He said, yeah bro, next Tuesday. And he made it happen. And then after that video aired, it just launched me. Everybody was reaching out to me.
Do you have like a moment where, let's say, the best set you ever played? Like, do you remember that moment, or the moment that you walked off away from the turntables and you were like, damn, I killed it?
Yes. So I got to be good friends with Scratch Master Jazzy G and his wife. His name is Venus Mizell. She's related to Jam Master Jay. So they reached out to me. They were doing a tribute fundraiser for him at SOB's club. And they asked me, could I do a set? So I said, of course. There were all kind of headliners on it. There was DJ Scratch, all kind of DJs. And I was nervous. I got there, and me being a Marine, I got there super early. Which, in hindsight, I should have just got there when it was time for me to do it. I would have had less butterflies. But the whole time,
like the build-up must have been crazy.
The whole time I had butterflies. The place is empty, and little by little starts filling up. Finally, it's my turn to get on. And my wife gave me a little pep talk. And I got up there, and it's probably one of the best sets ever. No mistakes.
Oof, wow.
No mistakes.
What are your top 3 DJing moments?
That's a real good question. I won't say it's a DJ moment, but just a moment in general. I met DMX at the Barclays Center. He happened to be coming out the bathroom. So like I told you before, I like to be cool. I don't want to get too starstruck, but he actually locked eyes with me and said, yo man, I know you from somewhere. And that just sparked the whole conversation, and we had a great conversation. And at the end, I asked him to give me a video drop. I always say, I gotta ask you a favor if possible. If you can't do it, I understand. He said, nah, whatever, man, I got you, whatever. So he's like, I said, could you give me a video drop? Come on, man, of course. And he gave me the best video drop ever. It was so hype, I just loved it. People complimenting me about that forever.
Hey yo, what up? Top dog, grand champ, DMX. And I'm with my man, DJ Ace, the cut lieutenant. Get at me, dog. Dip it. What?
Watched it a million times.
I watched it a million times.
Like, is that me?
Yeah.
DMX.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In the footage that you sent us, there's an amazing photo of you in front of the World Trade Center.
Oh, yes.
What's the story behind that?
So when I was in the Marine Corps, myself and about 3 friends of mine decided to visit New York. One of my friends was from Texas. He's never been to New York. Another friend was from North Carolina, and another friend was from Florida. So we all, and being from New York, you kind of take it for granted, all the landmarks. You never go. But the one place I have gone is the World Trade Center. So I asked the guys, you guys want to check out the World Trade Center? I said, yeah, let's check it out. So when we got there, these guys couldn't believe how big it was. And we all just decided to take pictures in front of it, not knowing, what was gonna happen. It just unbelievable. I'm glad, in hindsight that we did it.
We're in your space, and you love horror flicks.
Yes.
Elaborate a little bit on that.
So it's funny. When I was a kid, I hated horror movies. I never forget. I begged my parents to watch The Exorcist, and my mom didn't want to do it. Said no, he's not ready for that. My dad, man's man. I love my dad. He said, let the boy watch it. So I watched it, and I regretted every minute of it. That face haunted me forever.
Changes your childhood after you
it changed me. In my head, I could just picture that face turning around the corner when I'm sleeping. But over the years, I started loving it. I love everything about horror. I love the music. I love how it makes me feel. And I love, like a challenge. If somebody can make a horror flick to scare me, make me jump out of my seat.
I'm sure you have kind of nerves of steel at this point, being in the Marines and you're a cop and that kind of stuff. So
working in one of the scariest cities in the world, sometimes it can be.
Yeah, it goes from 0 to 100.
When you're working out of the Barclays Center, have you ever had the opportunity to DJ at the Barclays Center?
Yes, that's a really good question. So the staff at the arena found out that I DJ'd, and they asked me to DJ halftime for a Nets game one time. Then at the time, there was a club in the basement called the Billboard Lounge. So I've DJ'd there about 3 or 4 times, and that was a great experience. The very first night, I actually packed the place out. The guy told me this place hasn't been this packed since R. Kelly. So I was like, wow, that's a big compliment.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Nice. As we all know, everything that's happening in New York in the past year, what do you hope to see again in New York? And you see a lot in your position and what you're doing. So you can see the evolution and you can see the transition of how things were, but what do you want to see?
I want to see the tension go down a bit in the city. Tension's very high right now. Crime is kind of on the rise a little bit. I want to see that go down. And I want to see New Yorkers get back to being New Yorkers.
What do you want your legacy to be as a DJ? Because you have fans that have been with you from the beginning.
Yes, 100%.
And you're generating a lot of new fans now. I mean, you don't get the following that you have on Instagram and on the TikTok app that we all love so much because you're not doing anything special. So what would you say you'd want your legacy to be?
So what we were talking about with the scratch hook, that's something, and I'm not a big bragging type of guy. I don't like bragging. But I'm probably one of the few DJs that can lay a scratch hook down live, right on the spot, immediately, just like that.
It's like your claim to fame.
Right. That's the one thing that separates me from most DJs. That one thing right there.
Which is dope. And you're continuing to become a source where people come back to get like that old school feel, like that nostalgic feel that you love so much. Like,
right.
You're starting to become the guy.
Right. Plus, this is also something I tell a lot of DJs and a lot of people in general. I like doing scratches that anyone can appreciate. There are some DJs that are on such a high level that the average person won't know what they're doing. They won't even appreciate it, and they might even consider it noise. But a DJ like myself can appreciate it, and I know the difficulty it is doing what they're doing. But me personally, I like hearing scratches and I like doing scratches where just the average person walking off the street can say, wow, that's nice. I'm not into scratching. And people have told me that. I'm not into scratching, but I do like what you're doing. This sounds great.
It's that clean, that
it's so curt, like the way that you do it. Like I literally can close my eyes and I know it's you. I mean, I've literally memorized all your sets.
Plus, like at a party, every DJ wants to scratch. But at a party setting, that's not the place to scratch. But if you're at a level where you can squeeze some scratches in and keep everybody dancing, that's a good goal to reach, and that's what I like.
I think one of the things that contributes to your success that you're having right now and the way that you've become so popular is we're here with you right now, and you're the nicest man.
Oh, thank you.
You're so respectful, you're nice, but you generally are so open to sharing your story with us, and it's something that we'll never forget.
We appreciate it.
This has been so fun for us, so thank you.
Thank you.
You're Matty and Jesse on Beyond Obscurity. You're watching that. You're watching Matty and Jesse on Beyond Obscurity.